The United States power grid is a massive electrical system consisting of three mostly separate blocks: the Eastern, Western, and Texas interconnections. This system works by connecting energy generation sources with consumers via transmission and distribution lines, along with the related facilities. The interconnected nature of the power grid leaves it susceptible to large-scale disruptions, such as the US 2003 blackout, when a downed tree in Cleveland, Ohio, led to a massive power outages for 50 million people on the eastern seaboard, hundreds of miles away. Just as a downed tree can cause a large-scale power outage, there exists the possibility that the grid is an easy target for terrorists seeking to destabilize large portions of the country. Another problem facing the U.S. energy system is its reliance on fossil fuels because of their known negative effects on climate change. The current mix of energy sources in the U.S. is 66% fossil, 20% nuclear, and only 13% renewable. While adding more renewables may seem like an easy fix, according to the International Renewable Energy Agency, any renewable penetration over 20% can lead to grid instability and requires large infrastructure upgrades. These examples are all significant problems facing the current U.S. system of electricity distribution. One possible solution to this problem would be the integration of community microgrids. According to the U.S. Department of Energy, microgrids are localized grids that can disconnect from the traditional grid to operate autonomously and help mitigate grid disturbances, to strengthen grid resilience, and can play an important role in transforming the nation's electric grid. The microgrid works by integrating electricity from diverse sources, combining local power stations ranging from renewables like solar and wind, along with traditional generation methods such as natural gas or diesel, with electricity off of the grid. The mix of electricity is then monitored and controlled by a central smart control station. This control station allows the microgrid regulator to get real-time data from the consumers, local power stations, and the grid utility so that they can assure reliability and efficiency. Other smart technologies, such as smart switches and sensors, automatically fix and even anticipate power disturbances and blackouts, as consumers and businesses in the U.S. pay at least $150 billion per year in costs due to power outages. An example of such a disturbance is the 2003 East Coast blackout that we mentioned earlier, which could have been avoided in certain areas if microgrids were in use. During the blackout, community microgrids would have separated themselves from the national grid, allowing critical systems to stay in working order, such as the New York City subway, traffic lights, and the stock exchange. The ability for a microgrid to work on an island would also fix the vulnerability issue of the grid from terrorist attacks. If there were to be an attack somewhere on the grid, microgrids could separate and work on an island to keep valuable resources and information safe. This technology is especially useful for U.S. military bases and financial institutions. The microgrid is also useful for its ability to integrate a large percentage of variable renewable sources, such as wind and solar, and it can do so because of the increased control over the energy mix through the smart control system, and also the ability to integrate energy storage systems, which is controlled by microgrid managers as well. With the microgrid, the area and energy usage is lower, meaning that current technologies, such as ion batteries or flywheels, can be utilized to increase the percentage of renewables in the mix. Microgrids are also an economically viable solution, as they have the potential to save consumers money through the use of smart technologies, which allows real-time sensor and feedback monitoring. The smart control system in the microgrid can also augment the electricity mix in order to achieve the best economic option. Microgrids can also greatly increase efficiencies, which save the consumer money as well. The traditional grid-generated electricity has to travel large distances to reach consumers, allowing for a 23% loss in efficiency. This can be lowered significantly with the microgrid, as a considerable amount of electricity is generated through local sources. Microgrids in the U.S. are currently in the research and development stage, undergoing trials by various research institutions, with the biggest being the U.S. Department of Defense and the University of California, San Diego, is currently testing microgrid technologies on their campus, both to power the campus and act as a research facility for the California Department of Energy. So far, the testing has proven effective, as UC San Diego's campus is now operating on a microgrid with cheaper electricity. The issues with integrating microgrids in the United States energy system are upfront costs in developing the new infrastructure, such as local power generation facilities and smart control systems. Also, getting the utilities and the law to allow for microgrid installations will take time and money. One may also run into issues with the zoning laws and licenses when it comes to building the new systems that take up land and potentially affect the aesthetics of a region, such as solar arrays and wind farms.